Ngayon na ang panahon upang bumangon tayo muli. Tayo na tayo, Pilipinas. At sa pagtayo ng mas matatag at mas matibay na hinaharap, kasama nyo ang Holcim. Tayo na tayo, Pilipinas.
Nagsimula sa isang pangarap.
Ako na po, ma'am.
Ika'y tutulungang ibahin ang buhay na nakasanayan.
Naka 24 months ka na sa
May
pag-ibig.
panghulog na ako sa motor.
Bagong motor.
Gagawa ng hakbang para mapaghandaan ng forever
Ingat ka ha.
at harapin ang bukas na may maaasahan. Simulan mo na ang forever mo ngayon. Fund your forever with Pag-ibig Fund.
We are here to build 10,000 houses
in Negros Occidental.
by 2024.
We are here
to build homes
for families,
to build communities,
To build hope.
and ultimately
To build lives.
That's why we're here.
To build. We're here to build.
A sense of accomplishment.
by giving people access to resources that will help them.
Realize their dream of a home to call their own.
We're here to build. A sense of security by helping make sure that every house built
is safe, sturdy, and secures families.
for generations to come.
We're here to build.
A sense of growth.
by helping equip people with skills, knowledge, and opportunities towards a brighter future.
We are here to build a sense of hope.
By helping people come together.
As a community that is progressive, responsive, compassionate, and stands united, come what may.
But I certainly hope that in the next generation and many, many generations after that, that this value continues and that there's always a culture of helping, not just being responsible for your stakeholders, but really being responsible for society as a whole.
We are here
to impact society.
Impact society.
Impact society.
Impact society.
Impact society.
as a whole.
as a whole.
As a whole, as a whole.
Impact society as a whole.
We are here to impact society as a whole.
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 Amo ini ang Negros Occidental Impact Coalition.
For us housing officials, as part of our guiding principle, we consider shelter as a right of every Filipino family. Maraming salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Presenting the Organization of Socialized and Economic Housing Developers of the Philippines' Shelter Agenda for a New Decade. The Philippine Private Sector Initiative, a new human settlements and urban development agenda. Institutionalize private sector participation in policymaking under the new Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. Improving ease of doing business. Expanding housing finance and sustainable incentives programs for homebuyers. Upholding fair access to land through a genuine national land use policy. Redefining affordable housing. Promoting green building, resilient settlements, and post-pandemic approach in designing spaces. To learn more about the Organization of Socialized and Economic Housing Developers of the Philippines, please visit us at www.oshdp.com or email us at secretariat@oshdp.com.
Hi there. Are you a nonprofit organization with construction projects that will benefit the underprivileged? But you don't know where to start? Don't worry, we got you. Visit www.fairbuilding.org and sign up as an NGO partner. Once we receive your application, we will contact you and set a meeting. Together, let's build a fair future for everybody.
welcome to our second plenary discussion. Our plenary moderator is an expert in architectural and interior design, real estate development, and planning. She is an active member of the National Board of Trustees of Habitat for Humanity Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Ms. Monique Albert Lopez.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to have you with us today. My name is Monique Lopez. I will be your moderator for this afternoon session. Let's talk about innovation and sustainability in housing. Let's zero in on new solutions. Together, let's push the bar towards a better world for us and the generations to come. We would like this to be a co-learning space between you, the audience, and the speakers. We highly encourage you to post questions or even comment on the chat. Today, Habitat for Humanity has handpicked industry leaders that specialize in this topic. Let us all welcome, from Wholesome, Mr. Ram Maganti, Senior VP and Head of Marketing and Innovation, a mechanical engineer graduate with MBAs from the Indian Institute of Management and Harvard Business School. From NHA, Engineer Jovita Panopia, Department Manager of Housing Technology and Research Department, and also the Secretariat Head of the AI Tech Interagency Committee, which evaluates new technologies and building systems. From Green Ants Builders, Mr. Rommel Benig, founder and CEO of Green Ants Builders, and also the founder of Green Hands, Green Arts, and CEO of Excellence Consulting, which helps companies lower their energy cost and carbon footprint. And from UP Diliman, we have Dr. Fernando Hermar, Professor of Engineering and the Felisberto Reyes Professional Chair and Director of Building Research. Each speaker is given 5 minutes to present. Afterwards, we will have a Q&A. Kindly join the dialogue and please do post your questions and comments on the chat. After some final thoughts from our speakers, you will all be invited into our breakout rooms. Please stay on and join us to get deeper into the discussion. Mr. Maganti, you have the floor.
Firstly, I wish to wish all the participants, my fellow speakers, and the organizers a very good afternoon. I hope all of you are keeping safe and well. I'm very happy to be part of the 8th Asia Pacific Housing Forum by Habitat for Humanity, and this track 2 is very interesting of talking about innovative and sustainable housing solutions. So this has been a very busy year for us, Wholesome Philippines, in terms of speaking engagements, and for a good reason. Our CEO, our newly appointed Chief Sustainability Officer, and I have participated in a number of virtual forums to share the recurring story that we at Wholesome Philippines are ready and committed to help build the progress of the Philippines. If you can just move the slide forward, please. Okay, and this was also aligned with the Wholesome Group. I mean, for those of you who are not aware, Wholesome Group is the largest building materials company in the world, with a market capitalization of over 30 billion, and we are present in more than 60 countries. And way back in July this year, the Wholesome Group unveiled its vision to be a global leader in sustainability and innovation. And this has triggered a lot of actions from our side, highlighting our initiatives and plans to help our partners to build greener, smarter, and for all. And we have echoed these messages here in the Philippines and matched the words with actions. It's very important. I think many companies do have a lot of interesting ideas, but what is more important is to put these ideas into action. And we have been matching our words with actions, from new and innovative products to more robust engagement with stakeholders that demonstrates our commitment to make a positive difference. So if you go a couple of slides ahead. Yes, so in building progress in the Philippines, one of the urgent tasks at hand is ensuring that the 6.5 million deficit in housing is immediately addressed, as home ownership has proven to deliver social benefits on top of the economic and financial ones. So if you just go to the next slide. Yeah, and in recognition of the powerful impact of housing in advancing progress, the Wholesome Group has identified helping address the global deficit in housing as a focus area of its 2030 People and Community Strategy, which is meant to raise the group's positive social impact wherever it operates. Locally, we have contributed by building close to 2,000 homes in Compostela Valley, Davao City, Leyte, and in Marawi City. And from 2022, we already secured a partnership with Habitat for Humanity to build 500 more houses in Valenzuela City and Negros Occidental. Participating in forums like this and continuing engagement with partners in affordable housing segment, we think is critical in making a more positive impact. And these efforts allow us to further deepen our understanding in this matter, build relationships with like-minded organizations, and develop solutions based on our building materials expertise that are relevant for Philippines. These are also important in spreading the word about importance of using right products for the right applications, particularly in building homes. So there are certain materials which are right for Philippines, and we have to make sure that these materials are being used. For example, we have already developed new products that help builders to use less material while delivering quality output, such as our mortar solution, Wholesome Multifix. Recently also, we've launched a water repellent cement called Wholesome Aqua X, which is very relevant for the local market, wherein we have 4 months of really intense rain, which causes a lot of water-related issues in the homes. So such examples can help us to build higher quality and more resilient homes, which are suited for the Philippines weather conditions. When you see the next slide, and our expertise is not limited locally. We can draw from the rich experience of Wholesome Group, which is already running exciting projects to help partners all over the world to make quality and affordable shelters more accessible to those who need the most. In Africa, for example, Wholesome Group has developed a special material used to 3D print walls in a school for less material, and it does this in 18 hours instead of days, which is what you get when you use the conventional practices. The same technology can also be used to build houses. And in Africa, the Wholesome Group has industrialized and scaled up the production of soil-stabilized and weather-resistant bricks called DuraBrick with factories that can be either fixed or mobile. These innovations show the massive potential for advances in building materials technology that can bridge the housing gap in our country. These innovations are what we look to bring forth to our country. One of these exciting material innovations that we brought in the Philippines is EcoPlanet. It's a most eco-friendly cement developed by Wholesome Group with about 30% lower carbon footprint than similar products. This can be used especially in areas where low carbon footprint is necessary for the structures. And this brand has been launched across the world, and we look forward to bring this to the Philippines shortly. The housing gap in the Philippines requires us to take bolder steps and explore new and innovative ideas. These new approaches and technologies are being brought to bear, making decent homes more accessible and sustainable, are showing greater promise. We hope that in our subsequent meetings, our discussions will be on what we have accomplished, We pride ourselves as a building materials provider, and the housing gap in the country is certainly a problem which we hope to address. We believe that embracing new technologies and innovative materials is best way to do it. The price of the materials is actually not the primary problems for the backlog. It's the technology of construction that has remained same for most of the last millennia. And if you look at how the homes are built during the Roman times, it's primarily the same way we build the homes today, from the basic materials. The earth, wood, and stone have kind of been replaced by different materials like steel, cement, glass. But more or less, the construction practices have remained same over the years. It's a time we try and change that. We look forward to working with you to find the right building solution for the Philippines. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Maganti. Looking forward to the 3D printed house that you guys will make in the Philippines. And I'm really excited about water repellent cement. Looking forward to you guys launching that. Thank you.
Thank you, Moni.
Good afternoon to everyone. A blessed afternoon to all. And I'm so honored to be one of the plenary speakers. So I will be talking about accreditation of innovative technologies for housing. So I'm Engineer Jovita G. Panopio, the Department Manager of the Housing Technology and Technical Research Department of NHA. And I'm also the Secretariat of this ITEC, or this is an acronym for Accreditation of Innovative Technologies for Housing. So the ITEC is an interagency committee composed of the following 9 government agencies. So we have the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, or DSUD, and this shall act as the head agency for the committee, and as such, the DSUD secretary, our very own Secretary Eduardo Del Rosario, shall be the signing authority for the accreditation certificate. And next is our National Housing Authority, and NHA shall act as the ITEC Secretariat for the committee and responsible for the technical evaluation of the technologies being accredited. So we do that task. And the Department of Science and Technology, the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development, or DOST, PSURD. They were tasked to recommend innovative technologies for construction application and support research and development for housing technologies, and provide list of testing center among the DOST Research and Development Institutes. We also have the Home Development Mutual Fund, or the HDMF. They are tasked to accept accredited technologies for housing loans. University of the Philippines, the Building Research Service, or the UPBRS, act as an alternative testing facility and evaluating agency concerned with the overall technical feasibility and structural integrity of technologies. The Department of Public Works and Highways, Bureau of Research Standards, or DPWH-BRS, act as an alternative evaluating agency on structural designs for medium to high-rise housing. The Construction Industry Association of the Philippines, or the CIAP, tasked with the dissemination of information as well as the inclusion of applicable technologies in the modular coordination system. We also have the Department of Trade and Industry, the Bureau of Philippine Standards, or DTI-BPS, tasked with the information dissemination also on new construction materials, as well as the development of the Philippine standards. And last but not the least, the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, or NHMFC, they accept accredited technologies for mortgage financing under the Housing Loan Receivables Purchase Program. So, what are the objectives of this interagency committee, ITEC? The ITEC committee acts as a review and approving body for applications for ITEC accreditation of the different technologies and building system. It also aims to encourage and promote the use of innovative technologies as an alternative to conventional housing construction. When we talk about conventional housing construction, we are referring to non-load-bearing concrete hollow blocks. Assist the proponents or the inventors and producer of the subject innovative technologies to secure acceptability of their products or building systems by the end users and for funding from government financing institutions. So, how do we define technology? In our committee, there are three definitions. First is new production process of existing materials or system. Next is new construction methodology. And third is modified building materials or system. So you can ma-observe niyo po na we can accredit also blocks but with different materials. So this will fall under modified building materials or system. So what are the benefits of ITEC accredited? So to name a few, application for possible tax holiday from the Board of Investment, participation in government projects, and assistance in securing acceptance of said technologies by the government financing institutions such as Pag-ibig Fund and NHMFC. So what are the classification of this ITEC accreditation? Next slide, please. So we have the wall material or wall system. So when we talk about materials only, it's non-structural. It's not part of the structural members. But when we talk about wall system, it's part of the structural system of the structure. So such as interlocking hollow blocks, fabricated concrete wall panels, we have the bricks, the lightweight hollow core concrete wall panel, autoclaved aerated concrete, precast concrete panels, and light gauge steel framing system, to name a few. We also have, we classified also the floor system, such as the C-joist or the T-joist, the precast, the pre-stressed, the concrete joist used as floor and roof slab system. One of the classifications also is the septic tank or the use of the plastic purifying septic tank or the PPST and the resin type. We also have the roof framing system and others such as the fence or toilet system. So those are some of the classifications of the innovative technologies. So next slide, please. So this is a process flow of how we accredit. So first of all, the proponent will apply and submit their application to the ITEC Secretariat in NHA, and the ITEC Secretariat will check if the documents are complete. So if the documents are complete, then they will be issued order of payment for evaluation fee to be paid in the Treasury Department of NHA. And after giving the official receipt, that will be the day one for their evaluation. Then after that, after a thorough structural evaluation, including the cost efficiency and if it's environment friendly, if the technology is quite complicated, we request DPWH for a more comprehensive evaluation. But for 3-story and below, the ITEC Secretariat or the technical evaluator will finalize the report and prepare the consolidated report. The ITEC committee meets on a quarterly basis. So every quarter, the interagency meets, and there they will deliberate the application for accreditation. So after a thorough deliberation by the members of the committee, if this will be approved, members, and this will be endorsed for ITEC certificate approval by the Secretary of the SHUD. And if found in order, the ITEC certificate will be signed by the Secretary and eventually will be given to the proponent. Once that the technology is accredited by ITEC, there will be a regular monitoring because the accreditation, the validity of the accreditation falls under 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. It will depend on the score that the technology will get. So after that, after accredited, we will be monitoring their performance because we base our evaluation under the documents submitted. Now, in the monitoring, we will now the truthfulness of all the documents submitted. So with that, after the validity period, they can apply for a renewal. So that's all for the ITEC accreditation. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Engineer Javita. It's so good to see 9 government organizations working. Thank you so much. Next, we have from UP Dalaman, Dr. Fernando Hermar.
Good afternoon. Okay, I was asked to talk about architecture and sustainability for this architecture and design for sustainability and cost efficiency, though I have a disclaimer. Though I've been a director of the Office of the Campus Architect, I am actually a civil structural engineer. So let us first take a look at sustainable design in the context of sustainable development. What is sustainable development? The UN World Commission on Environment and Development defined sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Though the definition of sustainable development somehow is still evolving, the definition of sustainable development, there are these objectives of sustainability as defined or as given by the U.S. General Services Administration. First, to reduce consumption of non-renewable resources, to minimize waste, and to create healthy, productive environment. So there are 6 basic principles of sustainable design. First, to optimize site potential, such as location, orientation, transportation method, and others. to optimize energy use, like the use of LED, less heat absorptive materials, use of renewable energy sources like solar panel, optimize building space and material use, such as the use of waste plastics, recycled aggregates, fly ash, bottom ash, and others. Another object or another principle is to enhance indoor environment quality, like ventilation. Also, another principle to protect and conserve water, like the use of rainwater harvesting, for example, minimizing impervious cover, like use of pervious concrete, water recycling, water recycling, optimizing operational and maintenance practice. But let's take a look at sustainability from a different perspective. And let me ask, is this sustainable design or sustainable construction? I believe most of us are already familiar with the 6 principles of sustainability I discussed. But if you look at the figure, what do you see? The figure shown may look like a stockpile of construction materials, but if you look closely, it is not. What you see actually is a mass of debris from the collapse of the structure at the left. So again, is it sustainable? Can we go on building or maintaining structures like this? How about this? Is this sustainable design or construction? How much construction material and energy could have been wasted due to the structure collapse? Or the structure at the right? What you see at the bottom is actually the ground floor of the original structure. Encircled is what used to be the ground floor column. Again, is it sustainable practice or is it sustainable design? So let me offer an alternative definition of sustainability. This is from UCLA Sustainability Committee, and it defines sustainability as the integration of environmental health, social equity, and economic vitality in order to create thriving, healthy, diverse, and resilient communities for this generation and generations to come. I'm highlighting resilient, and we could see that a resilient design is a sustainable design. Since structural conceptualization is now said to be part of architecture, please allow me to present some guidelines to show how resiliency could be obtained in design. So some guidelines for resilient design: provide competent load path. There should be continuous load path from the roof down to the foundation. Provide redundancy. There should be a backup system so that when a load resisting system fails, the backup should be able to absorb the energy, the load, without collapse. And third, avoid irregular structures both in plan and in elevation. First, avoid soft-story or open ground structure. We have shown that in the previous example where we have soft-story failures. Avoid re-entrant corners like this. So these re-entrant corners create stress concentration, and avoid long cantilevers. These are just some of the measures that may be applicable for housing or low-rise structures. There are other recommendations or guidelines, but more applicable for high-rise structures. So, in summary, the following are the main takeaways for sustainable design. Of course, first and foremost, we should incorporate sustainable design concepts in new construction, but also, whenever possible, retrofit existing buildings rather than build anew. Retrofitting an existing building can often be more cost-effective than building a new facility and can increase building resilience. Thank you.
For that, Dr. Hermar. And thank you for highlighting that longevity of the structure is actually sustainable design. And also, thank you for the reminder on redundancy and retrofitting existing buildings. So next up, we have the founder and CEO of Green Ants, Mr. Romel Benig.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, first, thank you, Habitat for Humanity Philippines, for inviting us here. We are really honored to be sharing with you what we do as a company. So for this afternoon, I'll be sharing with everyone how we can use the Green Ants EcoBrick technology to address the growing need for affordable and sustainable housing, especially for the lower income market segment. Next slide, please. Just a brief introduction. In 2013, we started Green Ants, and from being a brick making company, we have evolved to becoming a product, technology, and solutions development company where we use waste as a resource. So we are developing new products using waste as a raw material. We are also working with other companies, especially FMCGs or fast-moving consumer goods companies, and help them divert their wastes away from the landfills, because we know that landfills are not sustainable and landfills are closing. We have created a whole ecosystem, pioneering and institutionalizing the circular economy model in the country. And just want to share with you some of the recognitions that we had. In 2019, we were recognized as the winner in the construction innovation category of the Asia Pacific Housing Forum. And just recently, this October, we were recognized as one of the most innovative company in the Philippines by the 12th Asia CEO Awards. Next slide, please. In this single slide here, we can see the circularity, the circular economy model in what we do, from the different types of wastes coming from our partners, institutional, commercial, and even residential areas. We bring clean and dry plastics, fly ash, construction demolition debris, and others to a Green Ants facility, which we call a Green Ants Eco Hub. So a Green Ants Eco Hub is a 3-in-1 facility. It's a waste collection point, a recycling facility, and a manufacturing plant for green building materials. So here we produce the Green Ants eco products. Our flagship product is the Eco Brick, and then we supply these eco products or green building materials to the requirements of the construction industry. And at the end of life of the building or the structure, Green Ants can collect this debris, and then the cycle continues. So this is the circular economy model that we have developed since 2013. And we do this in collaboration with our corporate partners, local government units, and communities. Next slide, please. So here we can see our two flagship products, the Eco Brick, the Green Ants Eco Brick. So what is a Green Ants Eco Brick? It is basically an interlocking brick with plastics inside or other solid wastes. It is also a tangible example of the collaboration between Green Ants, local government units, private companies, and the community. So in effect, an eco brick is a building material with both social, and environmental impact. It is stronger by at least 5 times conventional compared to conventional construction like CHP, and we have completely eliminated the plastering works. So it is more cost effective by at least 10 to 15%. Next slide, please. These are some of the model units of some of the houses that we have built. Here we can see that a 42 square meter house like the one on the upper left, that particular house contains around 500 kilos of plastics. And we have a one-bedroom house, a 24 square meter unit that used around 300 kilos of plastic. So we are using plastic to substitute some of the sand and gravel. And that's another environmental impact of green ants. We are reducing the amount of sand and gravel that we quarry from the environment, aside from addressing plastic pollution. Next slide, please. In this particular slide, I just want to share with you one project that we did with our partner from Mati City. So our partner is a developer. We supply them with the eco products, but first we set up a Green Ants Eco Hub in Mati City, close to the project site, and then we supply them with the eco products which they use. So they were able to get the green light from Pag-ibig, and they were able to offer the houses at 10% down payment, which is really very attractive for developers. And then they will be continue building the houses, and later on, Green Ants will be working with them in terms of managing the plastic wastes. So we convert waste into a resource, and then the circular economy model continues. And we intend to replicate this model across the different cities and municipalities in the Philippines. So we are also working now with Habitat for Humanity in Tacloban so that we can do a similar model. So really, we can treat waste as a resource, use plastic waste to produce building materials, and then use this eco product to build green and affordable housing. So really, this is a smarter way to build, not just a greener way to build. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's the last slide. Thank you very much for allowing us to share with you what we do. And as we always say it in Green Ants, let's clean up the Philippines, let's clean up the world, one community at a time, one brick at a time. Maraming salamat po at magandang hapon.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Benig. I guess we will use this as a hashtag. Hashtag use waste as a resource. I like that very much. It's also good to know that it's 5 times stronger than CHB, and no need for finishing. Wow! So you solved 2 problems. It's green and it's also cost efficient. So thank you so much for sharing. So I guess now we move on to Q&A. Do we have any questions on the chat? Okay, so perhaps while we're waiting for some questions on the chat, maybe we would like to ask the plenary speakers, perhaps you have questions for one another, listening to each other. Like for example, Engineer Jovita, will 3D printing have to pass through the ITEC? Or is it already approved?
Hello. Yeah. So, come again, ma'am. What's the question?
For 3D printing, you know, the 3D printing for cement, has it already been approved by the ITEC, or it doesn't need approval anymore?
I think it's better if they apply for ITEC accreditation. And also, I may suggest for the Green Ants, also for the bricks.
Yes, ma'am. So we will be pursuing ITEC certification. We recently got the results of our fire test, and would love to share to everyone that the EcoBreak, the EcoCast, we have around 179 minutes or almost 3 hours of fire resistance. So comparing that to the requirements of the construction industry, which is 1 to 2 hours for interior and exterior walls. So yes, we are very interested to pursue ITEC certification.
Thank you, sir. And as a rule of thumb, if a product or a system has no Philippine national standard yet, so they have to apply for an ITEC accreditation. This is to give assurance to the end users that these technologies, materials are really safe, structurally sound, and cost efficient and environment friendly. Thank you.
Yeah. Engineer Javita, are plastic septic tanks already approved in the National Plumbing Code, Building Code of the Philippines?
No, it's not yet approved, but we have accredited, ITEC accredited PPST, the Purifying Plastic Septic Tank.
I see. So I guess after that, the next step would be to include it in the Code of the Philippines. Okay. So I have another question for Mr. Benig. Since you're using plastics in the mix, and Mr. Maganti was talking about water resilient concrete, does that make your blocks water resilient because there's plastic?
Yes, from our experience, yes, and water resilient, and at the same time, together with waterproofing, we can definitely build houses that are also resistant to the water intrusion.
Okay. How about health hazard wise? Because plastic has a bad reputation. I'm sure you've already studied. Is it healthy to use these products?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Nick. So we often encounter that question. So just to share to everyone, we tested our products for toxicity, VOC, and I would like to share to everyone that we passed the toxicity test because practically we're using food grade plastics. So these are the plastics that we're using for food packaging.
Thank you. That's very good to know. That's always the question, I guess, in an architect's head or developer's mind. Is it safe?
Thank you for asking.
Good to know. Good. Thank you for sharing. Does anyone else have a question for each other? Okay, here. For Engineer Panopio, can any of these new and sustainable building tech and materials be used in the redesign or in the redevelopment of existing NHA resettlement sites? At least 3,000 houses in Casiglahan Village and Southville 8B, Rizal, are continuously being flooded during typhoon season. During Typhoon Ulysses, level reached 16 feet and has submerged damaged houses. So do you in the pipeline?
Okay. As regards to the flooding, I suggest, I guess no technology yet being accredited by ITEC. But of course, the government is continuously studying how to solve this flooding, especially the cleaning of the outfall. As for the retrofitting or redesigning of the existing houses in Casiglahan Village, this needs more in-depth study of the structures. So it will really depend on the situation. So maybe we can consider studying how to retrofit those damaged houses. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Or perhaps maybe houses on stilts. What do you think, Dr. Hermar? How do we flood proof, make it sustainable against typhoons in the Philippines? Any suggestions for the housing sector?
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
Because we were just talking about flooding from the typhoons for the housing. If there are any suggestions you have as being a civil engineer, are there designs that you suggest for housing that can address the floods and typhoons?
Yes, for flooding, of course, the first thing we need to do is to properly select the site. But other than selecting the site, there are measures that you could do to make it flood resilient. Well, some options, they use the ground floor as extra space, but that would, of course, against seismic, that would create an open floor storage. So you just have to provide some bracing, additional bracing to strengthen the ground floor. So those are just some measures that could probably be done. And of course, for wind, typhoon, there are measures, there are design measures that we could do to properly design structures against strong wind.
Right. So since we're talking about sustainability of structures, we know that the Bahay Kubo is the most cost-effective and sustainable structure. Is there a way to just tweak it to make it last for, let's say, 100 years? Have you and UP studied this idea?
Come again?
The Bahay Kubo, is there a way, because it's very cost effective, and there are a lot of Filipinos living in the provinces that cannot afford concrete homes. Is there a way that they can tweak their Bahay Kubo sustainable for about 50 to 100 years?
For bamboo, of course, there's an issue of resiliency, long use of durability of bamboo, but there are some ways by which the bamboo could be treated so that it could last longer. Of course, traditionally, they treat the bamboo with some chemicals so that it could last longer. And of course, for design, again, as I said, the Bahay Kubo has its weakness, but it could be provided with bracing to make it more resilient.
Yes, or perhaps Mr. Maganti, Wholesome has a solution. Can you coat the bamboo perhaps in your special, is there a special cement that can do this?
I think the question is very interesting, and it's certainly something which we will look into, working with bamboo and cement to kind of improve the durability. For us, certainly, as a cement company, we will always recommend that concrete houses are the best ones for durability. And there again, I wanted to reiterate that usually it is not price of the building materials, because if you see cement probably is not more than 8 to 10% of the cost of the house. So if you want a house to last a few decades more, I think it's worthwhile to spend a bit more on cement and concrete. And of course, there are today certain grades of cement. We are coming up with blended cements, which actually are much more durable than what you would get from the regular ordinary Portland cement. So that's what I would recommend. If you are looking for durability, please go for blended cements.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. Maganti. Okay, so we have a lot of questions here. So for Engineer Panopio, are there any incentives for developers in using ITEC certified products and technologies?
Yes, thank you for that question. But before I answer that, may I add to what you asked before about the Bahay Kubo? We have accredited the base Bahay, the cement bamboo frame technology. This is a modified Bahay Kubo. So that answers your question. So we have a technology that can, it's cost efficient also, similar to the Bahay Kubo. So for that incentive, ma'am, yes, the Board of Investment can give a tax holiday for those technologies that will be used in mass housing projects. So the proponents can apply to BOI. So if the documents are complete and found to be modular and innovative, they can be given a 4 years tax holiday.
Wow, that's good to know. Thank you for asking, and thank you for letting us know, Mrs. Engineer Jovita. Okay, next question from Mr. Benig. Looks like a great product and model for circular production. What are Green Ant's plans for scaling up and getting more eco hubs around the country and in the market?
Okay. Thanks for that question, Monique. And to share with you, we are continuously building Green Ants eco hubs across the country, from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. We have over 30 eco hubs now. But really, the vision of Green Ants is to be present in key cities and municipalities, so that we create this localized model for circular economy. And that kind of model is perfect for a country like us. So we are an archipelago, so we need a decentralized model. So yes, to scale up, we are setting up Green Ants Eco Hub, or a modern MRF, across the country.
So what is the closest eco hub near me? Let's say in Metro Manila.
We have one in Taguig City, Arca South. So it's a partnership between Green Ants and Ayala Land.
And so do I just bring plastics there, like collect my plastic bottles and send it and bring it?
We collect from plastics in our eco hubs, but we also have plastic drop-off points. So we have several now in Metro Manila, and we will be having this plastic drop-off points in all Ayala malls across the country, and through other partnerships as well.
So if we want to find out the closest drop-off near us, what is your website? Can we find it there?
Okay, yeah. So our website is www.greenants.com.
Okay, and then okay, good, because we have a lot of plastic to send over. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have questions for Mr. Maganti and Mr. Hermar. Fisher folks and subsector are fisher folks. Relocating them far from the coast displaces them from their income sources. Would any of these new building technologies, especially the water-resistant cement, be suitable for fisher folk housing in coastal communities? Thank you, Mr. Vince Eugenio, for your question.
Yes, certainly. For me, first about the water repellent cement Aquex, it's got a special additive in it. And what we have demonstrated is the water absorption as compared to the regular concretes is less by 60 to 70%, which is a huge change with respect to water intrusion, and it's only very marginally more expensive than regular cement. So this is certainly one thing which we recommend, especially for people who are living in coastal areas, and there is potential for not just water, but also, there are chemicals in seawater like chlorides. Seawater is full of sodium chloride, and this actually penetrates into the concrete and damages the reinforcement. So certainly this is something which is helping to prevent the rusting of the reinforcement. I also mentioned in my speech about EcoPlanet, and this is a product which we're going to launch shortly. So it's a product which is not only very sustainable, it's got a very low CO2 per ton, but it is also highly durable because it is being made with the special mineral additives which have proven to resist all these harmful chemicals like chloride, sulfates, which damage the houses. So these are some of the new forms of cements which we are introducing. These are new for us in the Philippines. Of course, they are not so new in other countries like Japan and Europe have been using them, but in Philippines, certainly this is the beginning. And I'd say with a bit of a caution that these have been tried before, but not on a scalable basis. I think that's very important, that it's okay to do a small trial and do a publicity, but what is more important is the product should be available regularly, and then there should be adequate support to to the builders about this. And that's what we are attempting to do, is to bring new technologies which are scaled up and are available on a continuous basis.
Right. So for us architects and designers and developers who want to learn more about your specialized cement so we can apply them, do we find it in your website?
Yes, of course. You would find them in our website, on our social media pages. I think we are communicating. For example, the waterproofing cement, AquaX, is available in Mindanao. So, I mean, for those of you who are joining from Mindanao, you would have seen a lot of communication around this particular product. As I mentioned, EcoPlanet is a new product which we will be introducing shortly, so it will be again very visible. And the information is fully available on our websites and on our social media pages.
Okay, so is it just www.wholesome.com?
Wholesome.ph.
Thank you, Mr. Maganti. Okay, we have another question here. Kawayan Collective. Okay, bamboo. If treated properly, designed carefully, and with the right maintenance, it should last a lifetime. Bamboo is a very sustainable material. Do you agree, Dr. Hermar?
Yes, there are many treatments that you could do with bamboo to make it last.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for Mr. Benig of Green Ants, do you have size limitation on your brick designs? Specifically, can you use them in high-rise structures?
Okay. We're developing a variant of the Eco Brick and the Eco Cast for vertical construction. So it's 50% lighter. So really ideal for vertical construction. So.
Oh, it's cost effective.
Yeah,
nice.
We'll be launching soon. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, from Sheda, Santiago Ducay, what are the efforts of NHA and DSHUD and DOST to further encourage the utilization of the previously accredited technologies and building systems approved by ITEC, making this available and accessible to possible users and housing developers? I guess this is for you, Engineer Jovita.
Okay, thank you, Sir Sonny, for that question. Actually, now we are encouraging our developers and contractors to use innovative technologies so that they'll be able to build the housing projects on a shorter time. So we really encourage, especially in our design and build projects, because we have our community-based initiative approach for our government employees housing projects. So we are really encouraging them to use technologies. And also in one of our high-rise buildings, that will be that's the NHA office tower, we are using innovative technologies for that, so that we can be a contributor in the solution of the climate change. We want a building that's very cool in the inside. So we are innovating. We're not just using concrete hollow blocks. Thank you. And in fact, if I may, there are already 68,577 houses that we have completed, adapting different innovative technologies accredited by ITEC.
Wow, that's really good to know. Thank you, Engineer Jovita.
Thank you.
So I see a green future. Thank you. So, okay, I think we have to wrap up. So final question. Before we go to the breakout rooms, please everyone stay for the breakout rooms. For Mr. Benig, are you open for partnership of people's organization for the plastic materials collected in the community as part of their waste segregation project as your materials in the bricks making of Green Ants?
Very much. So we are very collaborative. Actually, we have developed a collaborative platform and model that we call social franchising model. So we are collaborating with NGOs, foundations, cooperatives, local government units, not just with regard to plastic collection, but also in setting up the whole value chain for the eco-brick. So from plastic collection to manufacturing to installation, including the training component. So yeah, would love to collaborate with everyone.
Wow, that sounds like the plastic problem is going to be solved. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the dream.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Benig. Okay, so we really have to wrap up. I know some of you still have some questions. However, you may reach out to Habitat and we will ask our plenary speakers to answer your questions and we will get back to you. So please continue to post your questions. May I call our CEO, Ms. Mardy Remedios Mapa Suplido, to present the plaques of appreciation to our speakers.
Thank you, Monique. I really love the exchange and interaction we had in this session, right? I feel, our house building has really been taken to a higher level because of the interaction we had today. So on behalf of Habitat for Humanity Philippines and the Asia Pacific Office, our event sponsors and partners, I'd like to present our plaque of appreciation that reads, this plaque of recognition is presented to Engineer Jovita Panopio, National Housing Authority's Housing Technology and Research Department Manager. Okay. To Dr. Fernando Hermar, Chair of UP Diliman's Felisberto Reyes Professional Chair. To Mr. Romel Benig, Founder and CEO of Green Ants Builders. To Mr. Ram Maganti, Senior Vice President and Head of Marketing and Innovation for Holcim Philippines. And of course, our plenary moderator, Habitat for Humanity Philippines Board Trustee, Architect Monique Albert Lopez. For each of your invaluable contribution as our plenary 2 speakers on innovative and sustainable housing solutions at the Philippines Housing Forum 2021, Building Forward Better for Inclusive Housing. You've each been instrumental in elevating housing to the center of the national agenda and seeking innovative, sustainable, affordable, and climate resilient solutions to our country's housing issues. Signed by Lourdes Gutierrez Alfonso, Chair of the Habitat Board of Trustees, and Mr. Luis Noda, Asia Pacific Vice President for Habitat for Humanity International. So let's all thank our speakers and moderators.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, please don't leave. We are waiting for the breakout rooms. We can have more discussion. If it feels bitin, we can continue on. So please stay on.
We have just finished the plenary session 2 on innovative and sustainable housing solutions. We will now be divided into breakout sessions. You can see on your screen the 3 breakout rooms that you can select from based on what you have registered during the registration online. Please simply click on the session that you want to join. Thank you and see you all in the breakout rooms. For breakout room 1, we will be focusing on energy sufficient and sustainable housing solutions for low-cost housing. Breakout session room 2, construction workers and its role in the industry, situational analysis. And breakout session room 3, securing land, housing tenures, and property rights for all. See you all in the breakout rooms.